dystopian states have seceded.
The United States Army ramps up activity.
The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance.
The three-term president assures the uprising will be dealt with swiftly.
Let me know if you want to try anything on.
I guess aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America.
We just try to stay out. With what we see on the news, seems like it's for the best.
So, I watched the movie from 824, Civil War, last night, and let me tell you, it's better than you might think. Now, before I get into my review, I want to say spoilers, 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 spoilers. Now, I'm not really going to reveal too much or give away too much about the film, but I think the first thing I'm going to say is already a spoiler, so just heads up. If you want to watch the film and you want absolutely no hint of what this film is about, spoilers. Got it? Get it, got it, good. Get it, got it, good. Now, my first point to say, if you are going into this film expecting it to be political at all, not even like heavily political or saturated with politicized soapbox rhetoric, if you're expecting a preaching down to, if you're expecting to pick a side, any side, left or right, the progressives against the Republicans, the liberals against the conservatives, the atheists against the religious, or what have you, you will be extremely disappointed. Unlike everybody's assumptions going into this film based off of the trailer and based off of the extremely politicized culture and society we live in today, especially in the West, everyone thought this movie was going to be extremely political, and it's literally not political at all. In the slightest, not even a little bit. Like, there might be like 10 seconds of like conversation and little things on the radio when they're driving in a car that you might be able to pick up, but political talking points is literally the least of anyone's concerns in this film. It's not the center of attention at all. The man from Park and Recreations who played a president, I think you see him for maybe like 60 seconds, maybe 60 seconds of the film, and spoiler, and one of those seconds is him peeing in his pants and begging for his life. But this film is absolutely amazing. Not one of the best films I've ever seen in my life, but one of the better films that's come out in a while. It definitely has 824 like stamp on it, and I believe the director producer who produced Ex Machina, I can never say that fucking name, but I love that film as well. And he did 28 Days Later, I believe. He produced some really good films. His stamp is on it, and you can tell by the cinematography. Magnifique. Some of the cinematography choices and some of the shots are literally poetic. They're freaking beautiful and horrifying at the same time. There's a couple of scenes, a couple of shots that is seared into my mind and will forever be to the day I die. One shot, spoiler, is literally through the lens of a photojournalist played by Kristen Dunst, who plays a famous world-renowned photojournalist in this film. She is taking a shot that is so horrific and so horrifying, but absolutely beautiful at the same time. Like, you're watching this scene and you want to look away, and you probably do, and you're looking back and you're thinking any day now the camera is going to turn off of this horrific, amazing scene, but you look back and it's still on it. It's still fucking on it, and you are just like, oh my god. And I kept thinking, watching this horrific scene, that is this what war photojournalists actually go through? Is this what they actually see? And how can you see such a horrific scene, something being done, something so mortifying being done to another human being, and not intervene, not want to intervene, not have an emotional reaction or reaction at all? But that's the point. One of the reasons why this film is not political, because it's literally done through the perspective of photojournalists. And it's even a line said by Kristen Dunst in the film, spoiler, that it's not their job to ask questions, it's not their job to answer questions. They don't write the headlines. They basically take the photos so other people can answer the questions and figure this shit out. The photos is just to show you what's happening, and that's it. That's why it's not politicized. None of the journalists are taking sides. None of the journalists are saying this is right or wrong. Besides war itself being wrong, besides that, they're not saying the right is right or the left is right or this is wrong or this is right. They're not taking a moral grandstand. They're just taking the fucking shots. There is another scene in this film that was literally so beautiful. Magnifique, like chef's kiss. Like, something horrific happens, and I'm not going to get into the details of what happens, but it's the aftermath of this horrific thing happening, of something that they witnessed. There's a scene in the car. Oh my fucking god, the emotion that is emoted, I believed every freaking second of it. The acting in this film is so good. The leads are even better. I believe the emotion, I believe the horror, I believe the despair, I believe the tears, and the sound choice and the scene, perfect. Like, it was just so perfect. Like, it has sort of an artsy spin on it because of the cinematography and because of the shot choices. Now, there's still plenty of action. This is a war movie, right? There is a civil war happening. I will say the civil war itself is almost like on the outskirts of the actual story because it's a very much character story, but it's still a war happening. So there is some intense scenes in this film. There's some intense action scenes in this film. So if you like war and you like action, you will like this film. Now, if you expect every single second to be bang bang shoot 'em up, maybe you'll be disappointed. If you expected this to be completely and utterly saturated with just war and fighting and action, then you will be disappointed. But there is some intense, very intense action scenes that had me sitting on the edge of my seat. Now, the idea of this not being politicized, I think, is beautifully ironic, because the one film that everyone was going into expecting it to be political, like either A, they were gearing up for it, or B, they were holding their breath with a knot in their throat, hoping that it didn't. That hoping that it didn't disappoint them because they picked one side and then sort of like blanketed another side of all bad, or blanketed another side as all good. People who are expecting that, is if that's what you wanted, if that's what you desired, you'll be disappointed. But I think other people, the ones with the lump in their throat, would be immensely grateful that it wasn't. The reason why I say beautifully ironic is because, again, the one film that everybody expected to be highly political or highly politicized wasn't. Versus all the films that have come out that was supposed to be about something completely different, ending up extremely politicized, which has annoyed the audience to nth degree. I just think the juxtaposition is actually quite ironic to me. Now, I would say that is a slight criticism of mine, because I was kind of waiting for it. Because the fact of the matter is that they leave it very ambiguous. Even the cause of the Civil War is very ambiguous. Like the 10-second clip, the 10 seconds in total where they may have given you hints of why this war started is 10 seconds, but it's so ambiguous and it's so like non-factor that the movie is so not about that. Even when it does kind of come up, it's almost just noise of the film. So they leave it very ambiguous. You don't understand why the Civil War happened. You don't even understand why the fractions happened. Like, why is Texas and California teaming up? Why is all these tiny little mercenary groups teaming up? Like, they don't give you any of the details of why this is happening. From my perspective, when I watched the film, it definitely looked like America against the government, but there were definitely alliances happening, but they never explain why. And I was waiting for it. I was waiting for like some little tidbit to be like, well, what started this? Why is this happening? Why are these alliances forming? But they don't give you anything. And a little bit more than halfway through the film, I realized they weren't going to give you anything. And I would say like that was a tiny disappointment of mine, but it was so tiny, so minuscule, like it doesn't really matter, and it didn't really phase my opinion of this film. But again, if that's what you were wanting, if that's what you were desiring, you will be disappointed. Now, I'm pretty sure, like, if somebody really wanted to make this political, they'll take that 10 seconds I told you about, maybe analyze who the president is and try to form some sort of divisive political idea what this movie is about. But if you do that, you're literally trying your best. You're literally like reaching for the stars to make this political, because it's not at all. All I have to say, At the end of the day, I was very, very pleasantly surprised by the film. It was so good. Again, not the best thing I've ever seen, but one of the better films I've seen in a while. And I mean, the bar is low, but it's still one of the best films I've seen in a while. You can tell it was a big budget film, but it's not big budget like Godzilla and King Kong films, but it was big budget when it comes to 824, like right below like low budget, right under super big budget like Superman or the Avengers, but like big budget for 824. I'm hoping that this film does good, and I will say that the marketing choice to title it Civil War was genius, because I think people's expectations are different. I don't think the preview duped anybody, because the preview never made it seem like it was politicized, but I think calling it Civil War during a highly politicized time where everyone thinks there's a civil war on the horizon, I think it was genius to call it Civil War. I hope this film does good, so more fucking studios will make films that's not super politicized and still really good, that focus on the talent, the acting, and cinematography, the sound, the shots, just the fucking story. Focus on that. We didn't need a soapbox. This film didn't need a soapbox at all. There are some criticisms coming out about this film saying that it was released in an insensitive time or a sensitive time, or they were being insensitive by releasing it during again a highly heightened politicized time, but I actually think it's the opposite. I think when you watch this film you realize this is something you don't want to happen in your country because it's horrific, but I think you go into appreciating that at the end of the day it was American people fighting for their freedom and fighting for their country back. Anyway guys, let me know what you guys think of my review. If you've seen the film or not, let me know what you guys think. If you were disappointed that it wasn't highly politicized, or if you love the fact that it wasn't highly politicized, let me know in the comment section below. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell to get the notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. If you want to support this channel, you can donate. My PayPal and Cash App link is in the description box below, and also in the comment section you can super thanks, and you guys have an amazing, beautiful day. Bye!
19 states have seceded.
The United States Army ramps up activity.
The White House issued warnings to the Western forces as well as the Florida Alliance.
The three-term president assures the uprising